Nerdly presents The Feed, where the reels unwind. Off the real podcast, digging deep in the grind. 80 flicks, low cash, big dreams in the frame. No blockbuster hype, just the realest in the game. Reviews so sharp, we cut through the noise.
Actors get to that certain point in that certain stage in their career where they make a movie where it is literally them and a small child going on somewhat of a road trip. I'm totally cool with that, because that's when you tend to find that some actors that you don't necessarily know have the chops to carry a movie and just absolutely amaze you and wow you. That's what this movie is doing. Taron Egerton, who is an actor I'm massively familiar with, an actor that I absolutely adore from the likes of Kingsman 2, that Tetris movie, the Elton John movie, Rocketman. He has been picking and choosing his roles as of late, and this movie, She Rides Shotgun, absolutely proves that as well. Add to that, She Rides Shotgun is also directed by Nick Rowland, who made the movie Calm with Horses a couple of years ago, with awesome performances from Barry Keoghan and Cosmo Jarvis. So yeah, I was in from the word go. I didn't even read anything about this. My name is Kevin Halden. This is Nerdly Presents Off the Reel. This is an off the reel review of the movie She Rides Shotgun. What I'm going to do is what I always do, and I'm going to talk about the plot of the movie with as few spoilers as humanly possible. Then we'll get into what I did and didn't like about the movie. Scratch that. We'll talk about the cast and crew of the movie. Then we'll get into what I did and didn't like about this movie, and then I'll talk about my nerdly off the reel review rating at the end, which is my rating, not the rating of Nerdly on the whole. You can go over to nerdly.co.uk, where hopefully somebody else over there, one of our amazing voices, one of our amazing reviewers, has also reviewed this movie. See what they thought as well. But most of all, do yourself a favour and just check the movie out. It is somewhat of a lower budget movie because, like I say, we're dealing with a father and daughter road trip movie. So yeah, I'll tell you what, let's just get into this, because I'm really, really excited to talk about She Rides Shotgun. A girl marked for death must fight and steal to stay alive, learning from the most frightening man she knows, her father. This is an adaptation of Jordan Harper's award-winning novel. Nick Rowland decided it was time to adapt this book into a movie, and Taron Egerton decided it was his time to make this type of movie. But I am going to get a little bit deeper into this. That's what she said. Polly is this young girl. She starts off the movie at school, and when she comes out of school, she's kind of waiting around. There's nobody there to pick her up, and then all of a sudden, this beat-up jalopy of a car turns up, and it is her dad. She doesn't necessarily want to get in the car to start off, because why is he here? She's a little bit confused as to what's going on, but he does talk her around into getting in the car, and as they leave, she begins to realize that actually there is something a little bit more off. We discover what is going on in this movie kind of adjacent to Polly. She knows about as much as we do, we know about as much as she does, but what we soon discover when they spend the night in a hotel, when Polly's watching the news, it turns out that her mum and her stepfather have been murdered, and the prime suspect is her father, Nate. But did he do this? And it turns out that there is a little bit of a manhunt to find Nathan and rescue Polly. But it turns out that when he was in prison, he kind of took on some protection. He needed people to look after him, but it means that when he comes out of prison, he's going to have to do some work for particular sort of people. He doesn't want to do that work for those people, so he does what he has to do to get out of there. But now he's a marked man, and by extension, his wife, his wife's new husband, and his daughter are also marked people. So then it becomes, can he survive? Can he survive? Can he keep his daughter alive? Can they escape? Can they get away from these arseholes? Can they also get away from the police? It's the story of a father who realizes how much he loves his daughter, how much she is willing to take on his traits and become able to protect herself in a way, but also try and protect her own innocence, which is kind of what Nate's trying to do, but it doesn't always work. Let's talk about the cast. There's not a massive great deal of cast to talk about really, but let's start with Taron Egerton, who plays Nathan McCluskey. I really felt like this was a vehicle for him. I love Kingsman, I loved Rocketman, I loved that Tetris movie, I love the TV show Smoke. I'm a big fan of what Taron does. However, over the last 3 to 4 years, he's very, very particular about the movies he wants to make and the characters he wants to play. And this movie, he gets to act alongside a young girl who we will get to in a minute, but he gets to act alongside this young girl that he can imprint his acting onto, his artistry onto. But as is always found when you have these young child actors, he's able to just soak in what she's giving him as well. That is when the real Taron Egerton comes out. That is when the father side of him comes out. And this, for me, is almost a career best. This film, for me, is Taron at his absolute peak. He is doing amazing work in this movie. Sophia Heger as Polly Huff is absolutely sensational as Nathan's daughter. This actress is going to go far, given the time, given the roles, and just given stuff to work with. And yeah, she's working alongside an actor who's clearly just bringing his art form to the front and giving his all. And Sophia revels in this role. There are moments when she's supposed to be innocent and she's very innocent. You want to protect her as much as Taron wants to protect her. You want to protect her from Taron. You want her to start picking up that baseball bat and swinging away. You want her to shoot people. You kind of want this little woman to go all hit girl and start killing people left, right and centre, because the one person I want to survive and I want to get through this movie alive is Sophia Heger. I mean, I love everyone in this movie, so I want most people to survive, but this is the girl that we need to protect. And my God, as much as Taron got to me and hit me in the feels, because this movie is super relatable for me, Sophia Heger was the character, the actress that absolutely made me bawl my eyes out at the end of this movie, towards the end of this movie. This girl is sensational. John Carroll Lynch is one of those character actors that you see in Everything Everywhere All at Once. He is absolutely, he's not in that film. At least I don't think he's in that film, but you know what I mean. You've seen him in loads of different movies, TV shows and everything like that. An awesome character actor that tends to play a little bit more of the sinister roles, and in this, he is playing a very sinister role. I'm not going to spoil his role too much, but I genuinely just didn't know how I felt about him, because when we first meet him, he's coming from a position of power, and then as the movie goes on, it's just like, oh my God, John Carroll Lynch is an absolute badass. I was a fan of the character. I really liked what he was doing and the way he was doing it. He's another actor that, again, when given the right material and the chance to just do what he wants to do, and I do feel like Nick Rowland was just letting him off the leash, kind of saying, this is the scene, you just run with it a little bit. But yeah, big fan of what John Carroll Lynch does, and in this movie, even bigger fan. Our main member of law enforcement in this movie who's chasing down Taron is Rob Yang. He plays John Park. Again, another character that you just don't really know how you're supposed to feel about him. He goes one way, then he goes another way, then he goes another way. I did really like him as a character, and I like the actor, and he gets some fantastic scenes with Taron, so that's always nice to see. And Nick Rowland, he just has a style, he has a sense, he has, you know what, let's get into what I did and didn't like about the movie, because honestly, that's one of my main things, is Nick Rowland's sense of movie and the way he likes his art to be shown up on the big screen. This film looks gorgeous. Cinematography is beautiful. You're out in the desert and the grimy bullshit nature of the desert, and it looks fantastic. It's great. The soundtrack to this thing, at times, it reminds me of the Ryan Gosling movie Drive. There's like a lot of synthy sort of scores. For instance, there's one scene where there's this big car chase down the road. Taron's getting chased in this car, and there's a police car coming behind him, and the music behind it, the score over the top of it, does kind of drown out the effects of the sounds of the car and all that kind of thing, but really accentuates what's going on and adds a whole layer of tension. There are scenes in this movie as well where there's a lot of action happening, especially towards the tail end, and you're being forced to focus on what's happening at the front of the screen. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a little bit of a shootout going on in the background, and you can see all the action there. You can see all the people running around with their guns and all that, and you're literally focusing on the hill at the front of the shot as someone is running along the screen. I loved this scene. It was very Luc Besson, it was very Michael Mann, it was very just letting me soak up what I'm watching, and my heart is in my throat, because what I'm being forced to watch is a lot more emotional and has a lot more pathos to the scene than what is actually happening behind it. And I just think when a director does that, he wins my vote. Nick Rowland is excellent at doing that. So when it comes to score, absolutely nails it. When it comes to cinematography, absolutely nails it. When it comes to his shot listing and the way he wants to make us, show us what we are supposed to be paying attention to, when it comes to all that stuff, it's amazing. It just really, really works. There is one thing that I didn't really like at first. So again, I don't really want to do spoilers, so I'm going to try and be as evasive as possible. But I do feel like the movie ends and we have a really logical end point, and that's where I would love for that movie to have just ended. And then it sort of fades to black and then it fades back in and we get a little bit more. I get why we have this scene, and don't get me wrong, I love this scene because it is the scene that just had me in tears, had me just absolutely bawling my eyes out. It is a brilliant scene, but at first when it happened, I was like, I don't need this. I feel like this movie could have been a little bit longer, and I've been saying a lot recently about movies cutting out 5 to 10 minutes and we still have the same movie. I do feel like this movie could have been a tad longer. Like, we could have met some more of the kind of gang we're facing up against. We could have had Taron getting into a few more situations that he has to somehow fight his way out of, so we can just see truly how into protecting his daughter he is. We do get there, don't get me wrong, we do get there. We have some amazing scenes where he's like cutting her hair and making her look different, where he's teaching her how to use a baseball bat, and he tells her, when you do swing that bat, do not hit them in the front of the head. Hit them in the back of the head. Hit them in the front of the head, they're getting back up. Hit them in the back of the head, that's the soft part of the head, they're going down. I loved that scene. There's a scene where Polly is kind of forced to do something that we as viewers really don't want her to do. And you kind of feel like in that moment, her father would be like, amazing, we managed, we survived that, we got by it. But he absolutely doesn't have that reaction. It's so well done, so well filmed, and again, Taron, I can't rave about Taron enough in this movie. So I'm going to get into my final rating, and honestly, I'm dropping a 5 out of 5 on this movie. I love just about everything in this movie. Did I love the logical closure point at the end, even though I kind of guessed that scene was coming? Did I love it? No, not really, in terms of I didn't really need it. But also, it does pay things off, and it does leave me walking out of this film and just being like, oh my god, why? Why did you have to just give me that one last haymaker, you know? It is a 5 out of 5 though, because I think cinematography-wise, this movie slaps. I think soundtrack-wise, this movie slaps. There's just one of those soundtracks that absolutely goes with the movie. And again, I harken back to the likes of Drive, a movie that I didn't necessarily appreciate the first time I watched it because I thought I was getting Taken or Transporter or something like that, and that's not what I got. But over time, when I've rewatched Drive, I've been able to appreciate that movie, and the score is a big part of it. And here we have another movie that the score just slaps on every single level. Sophia Heger, you have absolutely won me over as an actress, as a young actress. I will be checking out anything else that you do. I can't wait to see what you do going forward, but this movie is a fantastic start to a young burgeoning career. If you check this movie out, please do come back and let me know in the comments down below. It's where we continue the conversation. If you think I'm being very hyperbolic about this movie and I'm really just spewing out a lot of things that don't make much sense, and you watch the movie and you're not a fan, let me know down there. But if you love everything I have to say about the movie, if you're a fan of what Taron does, because it is one of those movies that is all about the human condition. It's all about the relationship between a father and a daughter, which can often be strained, especially when you have backstories like this. And who doesn't relate to movies like that? Who doesn't respond to movies like that? And people will respond to this movie in a big bad way, and it will affect you. You will be thinking about She Rides Shotgun for a couple of days, if not a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months later, and you will be telling everyone you know about this movie. They should check it out, give it time. Yes, it's low budget. Yes, it's not one of your massive Hollywood blockbusters that's going to be in the cinema. It's not one of those movies, but it's absolutely going to hit you to your absolute core, and it's going to make you feel a certain way. So please do check out She Rides Shotgun. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's a 5 out of 5 from me. If I do not see you in the cinema, I will see you in the next review.